so iPhone accessibility. It is similar to how it works on the iPad. It is the iPad and the iPhone use the same, what's called operating system. So the functionality here is going to be a bit of a recap of what was presented earlier, but with a slight difference because the operating system on the iPhone is a bit more up to date than it is on the iPad, and that will change soon. This fall, no exact date on that, but it will happen. So there will be some differences that I will point out with the iPhone. So I'm going to start with Zoom. The home screen on the iPhone is similar to that on the iPad, but with a few more spaces between, less space between the icons. So I'm actually going to initiate the accessibility by tapping on the settings icon, and then tapping within that settings menu on general, and then scrolling down to accessibility, and turning Zoom on, which is already on. When you get an iPhone, a specialist will be more than happy to help you set that up for the first time. But you can also turn these functions on through your computer when you plug your iPhone or your iPad. iTunes is basically the software that lets you manage what goes in and out of these devices. It does have settings in there to turn on universal access from the computer on your phone, so you don't have to fiddle through the menus if you don't want to. So the screen here on the iPhone is similar to that on the iPad. The functions are exactly the same. You use 3 fingers to tap on the screen to zoom in and out. 3 fingers double tap will let you control the zoom, just like on the iPad. Now, because you have limited screen real estate, it does obscure your viewing of the screen, unlike on the iPad where you have more space. And you can go ahead and navigate the entire device that way. Now, because it all works on the gesture controls, it uses 3 fingers to differentiate that you are moving across the screen instead of just tapping on different items. So if I were to do this with 2 fingers, the screen doesn't really move except from side to side. When we talk about navigation, this is one of the differences between the iPad and the iPhone, is that you can switch between applications a lot quicker on the iPhone because it allows you to run multiple applications at the same time. So I can jump back to the settings window without having to dig through the menu system. So I'm going to turn off the zoom. One thing to note about universal access on these iOS devices is that Zoom and VoiceOver can't be used at the same time. So you can switch between the 2 on the fly by triple tapping the main button on the front of the screen called the home button, which Gus here earlier had it set to switch from white on black to black on white. You can actually customize that to do several different things. For example, switching from VoiceOver to Zoom. Now, some of the things that you can do with VoiceOver here, you can adjust the speed of which it reads the voice back to you. Little slider over here that will do that for you. I'm going to turn this on. Hopefully.
VoiceOver on. Settings. VoiceOver. Accessibility. Back button.
And one of the nice things that you can do when you turn on VoiceOver in this screen is that you can practice the VoiceOver gestures before you actually start using them.
3, 2, 10, 12.
Now, because VoiceOver reads items one by one, you have to use 3 fingers to slide through items, and instead of it being a bit more smooth, it goes page by page, kind of like tapping page up and page down on a keyboard. So that button that practice VoiceOver gestures lets you
practice VoiceOver, practice gesture, heading.
Gives you a blank screen where you can just place your fingers freely on there and just play around and see what gestures do different things.
Practice voiceover gestures in this area. Select the button in the top right corner and double tap to exit. Touch. Select item under your finger. Touch. Select item under your finger.
And then have that reading a bit fast. I'm
Go.
going to slow that down.
Voiceover. Accessibility. Rows 1, 2, 3 of 12. Voice settings. Voiceover. Accessibility. Back button. To activate the selected item. Double tap.
There we go.
Rows 1, 2. Practice voiceover. Practice voiceover. Practice voice. Practice gesture. Heading. Practice voiceover gestures in this area. Select the done button in the top right corner and double tap to exit. Touch. Select item under your finger. Split tap. Activates the selected item. 3-finger single tap. Speak page number or rows being displayed.
Now, because it is a different version of the operating system, there are some features that aren't available on the iPad. One of them being screen magnification, which is different from screen zoom. One additional option here on this screen is large text. Tap on large text, shows you a visual representation of what your text will look like at different fonts. So you can go up to 60-point text, 56-point text, sorry. So if I turn that on, that's what it looks like at that magnification. And I can go back and adjust that. If I turn it off, let's see what it looks like without the magnification. A lot smaller. And that'll also work with your notes application. Bring it back up to, this is the largest it goes to, 56. Go to notes here. And it's a lot bigger, as you can see. And also email. If I open email here from Dorrie, seminar today, 8:25. So notice I'm not pinching, I'm not triple tapping. It's just set default to that font size. But I can still pinch and zoom to make that text bigger. And that's, a brief overview of some of the features of the iPhone 4 and its accessibility features. And that's it for me. Sorry,